I went to see a cousin of mine, and while I was there, his daughter called him, and he said, "Guess who's here?" And he told her, and she said, "Oh, my hero," she said. "That's exactly what I'm going to do when I retire." She said, "I'm going to buy a motorhome and travel just like my aunt." I've traveled for 34 years by myself, and I have never had one incident that I was, in fear of being harmed. I'm still on the road. This is my third motorhome. I put 125,000 on one and 150,000 on the other. And I'm 83 and I got 29,000 on this, and I would have put 100,000 on this one. I've gone clear around the United States with a caravan of 5 rigs behind me, and yet I have not seen everything.
I had a discussion with my sister the other day because we went to town and she had the radio on. And she questioned why I didn't like music as I traveled. And I said, "Oh, I just like to travel along and look at all the beauty, the trees and things of this type. And the hum of my engine is my music." And she ended up in the hospital. She called me and she said, "They've diagnosed me with cancer with a year to live." And I said, "Well, I was just getting ready to go. I was a golfer and I was going to go golfing around the Air Force bases and so forth for a year or two." And she said, "Well, do you mind if I go with you? We'll share expenses." At that time, we didn't have, the nice rigs of today, the campgrounds and so forth. So we were pretty green. And we decided to share expenses, and we bought an old trailer. She had a nice convertible. And we just took off, seeing what we could do to make her life meaningful as long as she could live. And she lived another 14 years. And maybe that lifestyle was more relaxing and better for her condition.
Well, I feel like I have learned a tremendous amount. I've gotten empowered being alone and doing these things on my own. I enjoy it tremendously. It's exciting just to look at a map to figure out where I want to go. I've led a few caravans. Caravanning is when you travel with 3 or 4 other RVs, and one person can be the wagon master and can make all the arrangements, or you can just get together and decide where you want to go and travel together. It makes it a lot more fun when you have other people to share the sightseeing with and the adventures. In the Midwest, you can always tell where the next town is when you see a shape of the water tower, and that's usually about 10 miles away when you can spot it. I'm coming into a little town, and it's going to be something different. What makes me want to travel? Oh, just the thrill of going over the hill and seeing new sights. It's so beautiful.
It is definitely a life of adventure. Some of it's very positive and some of it's negative, as if you ever have troubles on the road. However, as I go around from camp out to camp out, meeting different members of Owners on Wheels, I have met so many delightful people. It really made it a pleasure to go around and visit these people and see the different parts of the country. I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to have that free-spirited life.
it's just been a fun group to belong to. I've always felt very comfortable, even though in my early years I was, in my 30s and 40s, and most of the other people were retired in their late 50s and 60s and 70s. So over the years I've just met so many people of so many different from so many different parts of the country that's been one of the nicest parts of it.
Well, I'm certainly glad that I found the club because it has made a big difference. If I was totally alone, I doubt very much if I would do it as much as I'm doing it. No matter where I go, to any camp out or rally or caravan, there's always somebody that I have met before, and there's always the possibility of making new friends. And with all the new friends, you'll learn so much of what else is out there and what other sights to see. And don't miss this type of a thing. If I hadn't been in the club, there has been a lot of things that I would have missed out on. As far as having a full life with this, I think I would have been very lonesome. The logo is where singles mingle, and you might be alone, but you're never lonely. And that's very true.
Don't sit home and be lonely. There is a group here that you can have companionship. I mean, you can visit with men as well as women, sitting around a bonfire and just talking instead of sitting at home in your rocking chair and feeling lonely. I haven't got a lonely bone in my body.
Seize the moment. You don't hesitate. You can always change your mind and give it up. But if you don't have the experience, you'll never know what you missed.
Bite the bullet, don't be afraid. Everybody had to start somewhere, and I know very few people who can't do it comfortably and successfully.
Just get in and do it. That's about it.